The waters of the San Francisco Bay are beautiful, but they are also a graveyard of secrets. On any given night, the tide rips through the Golden Gate with a violent, crushing force, churning up currents so cold they can induce immediate paralysis. For decades, the federal government looked at a jagged, barren rock sitting right in the middle of this freezing vortex and saw the perfect cage. They called it Alcatraz. The criminal underworld called it the end of the line. It was designed to break the unbreakable, to hold the men that no other prison in America could contain. The rules here were simple. You have a right to food, clothing, shelter, and medical attention. Anything else you get is a privilege. And for 29 years, the Bureau of Prisons boasted an immaculate, terrifying record. No inmate had ever successfully escaped from the rock and lived to tell the tale. The island was a psychological fortress where the distant sounds of San Francisco city life, the laughter of women, the music from jazz clubs, the honking of car horns, would drift across the water on a clear night, tormenting the men stuck inside concrete cells that measured just 5 by 9 feet. It was a place designed to crush hope. But in the dark of night on June 11, 1962, 3 men did the unthinkable. They slipped through the walls of their cells, climbed into the belly of the prison, scaled a roof, slid down a drain pipe, and vanished into the fog-shrouded, churning waters of the bay. When the morning whistle blew, guards found 3 dummy heads made of soap, toilet paper, and real human hair tucked neatly into their beds. Frank Morris, John Anglin, and Clarence Anglin were gone. For over 60 years, the world has asked the exact same question, a riddle that has baffled the FBI, the U.S. Marshals, and generations of investigators. Did they actually survive?
To understand how anyone could even attempt to breach the security of Alcatraz, you have to understand the mind of the man who engineered the plot. Frank Lee Morris was not an ordinary criminal. Born in Washington, D.C., Morris was orphaned at a young age and spent his childhood bouncing between foster homes and juvenile detention centers. He was highly intelligent, possessing an IQ that placed him in the top 2% of the general population, a certified genius who chose a life of crime. Morris was a master burglar, a bank robber, and above all, an escape artist. He had already broken out of the Louisiana State Penitentiary, known as Angola, earned the nickname the Phantom, and committed a string of high-profile robberies before the law finally caught up with him again. When the justice system realized that standard prisons could not hold Frank Morris, they shipped him to the ultimate destination. On January 20, 1960, Morris stepped off the prison launch boat and onto the concrete docks of Alcatraz, registered as inmate AZ-1414. He looked up at the towering walls and the heavily armed guard towers, but instead of despair, his brilliant, calculating mind began to scan for weaknesses. He knew that every structure built by human hands had a flaw. It was just a matter of finding it.
Morris would not be alone in his quest.